Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 100 of the Watch Rolling Podcast. The Watch Rolling Podcast is a veteran-owned podcast that focuses on horology while sharing valuable resources with the watch enthusiast community. My name is Jason. I'm your host. If you're new to the pod, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Episode 100, a pretty cool milestone. I'm pretty happy. I'm just overjoyed. I couldn't even imagine. I mean, there was a goal of having episode 100 when I started, but now that we're here, it's kind of just dawned on me how big of a deal it is for me to be able to pump out these episodes, and most importantly, to have you at home, listening or watching. And I really appreciate that. Episode 100 is going to be about. I'm going to cover the District Time show in Washington D.C. I went up there with a couple of buddies up there and just had a good old time. But I want to cover the District Time show for you because I'm a big fan of shows, and District Time one that's pretty local to us. It only took about 2 hours and 40 minutes to get up there, so that was pretty good. And then I'm going to just discuss episode 100 and the milestone about it, and see what's going on, and give you an idea of what's coming up ahead in the show. So I'm gonna have a lot of thank yous in the show notes. If I forget anybody in this, I apologize. But trust me, I have everyone's YouTube show notes, links in the show notes, and I'm gonna do an Instagram post for all my people that just have IG profiles, pretty much not YouTube channels. But let's get into the time show. But first, let's do a wrist check. I got my Seiko Marine Master 300 on the Strapco Jubilee style bracelet. Love it, great. But you know what? With my Grand Seiko, it might be a little redundant. So I'm on the fence with this one. I love it, but I mean, how many black divers do you need as good as this one is? But more to follow on that. So let's get into District Time. So the District Time show was an absolute blast. It was always great to be in the space where you have a ton of independent watch brands, collectors, and enthusiasts all come together to celebrate the craft. That's what I think is so cool about District Time and other shows, but where they focus more on independent or micro brands, as people like to call them, but there's all different kinds of stuff there. And there really is a little bit of everything for everybody. So I'm going to offer some tips after this segment real quick on if you're going to go to a show or your first show. But I went on Saturday. The show was from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday last weekend. And I went, and some tips. If you can get early access or VIP access and get the hour before the show starts, I highly recommend that. And I did that. And even though it was a smaller venue, I only have an hour to really get in there and do what I got to do. So when I went this time, I primarily went on behalf of our Red Bar chapter here in Virginia Beach, because I wanted to touch base with the brands, and I wanted to basically offer them an opportunity to know about our Red Bar chapter and know that we're going to be there and that we're here, and that we'd love to have them out if they're ever out this way, or if they want to make a special trip. So our members can get to know their brand and get to know what they have to offer, and just kind of get the general idea of what the brand's doing. So I had an hour to do this before I said general population came in, before Gen Pop. And there was already quite a bit of people in there for the VIP access. I mean, not as many as the regular access, but quite a bit. So there was times where I went up to a booth and, they had 2 or 3 people deep, and I'm not trying to cut in front of anybody or interrupt. And I'm also not trying to waste the brand's time if they have a potential sale or someone that's really interested in buying something. So I just kind of played it by ear and went to where I saw were openings and stuff like that. So I want to talk about who was at the show. There was Christopher Ward, Sal Baltimore. They were the lead sponsors. The featured sponsors were Islander, Little Treasury Jewelers, and Swiss Watch Company. Belova was there, Canopy, Hampton. Pretty cool little thing on Hampton. Le Sabier, I think that's what it is. Markwell, shout out Markwell. They were pretty cool. Marathon and Trafford Watch. And there was a bunch of other ones. The 5280 Watch Company, Axia Baltic. I'll put the links in the show notes. Bespoke Watch Projects. Renoir, Belova, Canopy, Christopher, like I said, Doxa was there, Colorado Watch Company and Vortic were there, Bracken, Dryden. I mean, just a bunch. And Eastolman. I mean, there's so many names. Econoitra, they had a pretty big little crowd in front of their booth. Fears, Far and Swit, Feynman, Formex, Hampton, like I said, Heinrich, Heron, Islander, Jack Mason, LeSabier again. Laurier was there, Lokai was there, Shout Out Trip, Marathon, Markwell, Maryland Watchworks, I mean, the whole nine. Raven, Noticed, and the whole nine. RZE was there, Ocean Crawler, Sheffield, Standard H, Stella, and Swiss Watch Company, and a couple more. So it's a small little venue, and it's in downtown CC, pretty close to the Capitol. I would tell you that if you go there on a weekend, not all the food options nearby are open. So I'd scout that out ahead of time. We found that nice little patissier who had I basically got a croque monsieur sandwich and a coffee, but it's basically a ham and cheese grilled cheese sandwich with cheese on the outside. Pretty snazzy. I thought it was delicious. And I wish I should remember the name of the place we got it from, but it was pretty cold. We went there. Nice little venue. Got to walk around, spend an hour, and I just basically did my red bar spiel and gave out cards and met people I didn't know as far as owners went, and just talked to some, reacquainted relationships with owners and brands that I already knew. And before I knew it, the hour was up. And at that point, all general population came in. It was just crazy, crazy crowded, but in a good way. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you to my buddy Johnny. Johnny Walker rode up with me. He's a fellow Red Bar member. We rode up. We got up super early, probably earlier than that, but we headed out about 6:20 in the morning, and thankfully got all the way into DC with no traffic. I mean, it was crazy, like no traffic. And we actually were able to score a parking spot in a parking garage on the same block as the event. So that was pretty snazzy. And then we stuck around till about, I think, like a half an hour, 45 minutes after general admission came in. And sorry, my camera unfocused. Until general admission came in, and then at that point it was sheer pandemonium, and we really weren't going to get to talk to any brands. And I felt like at that point I'd be taken away from customer time and all this other stuff. So we departed the pattern, and the whole time, we before that we met. Shout out D. I'll put D's channel will be in the link in the show notes. A hobby of ours, and we met D. D came all the way from PA. And we hung out, had a little bit of food before, and went in there and did the business. And then D got some pretty good footage. It was pretty cool. He included us like in a walk-up video and all this other stuff. So it was just a blast. I had met D previously at the Vertex show at Windup, New York in 2024. And this time we just met up for a little while and walked around, and then we kind of split up when we got in there. But it was just a general blast, and some interesting surprises. Hamden Watch Company. So family owned, 4 generations, and they have this pretty cool patent pending case back system where you always have an exhibition case back, but then you can screw on a customized case back. So on the days you don't want an exhibition, you can just screw on whatever customized case back you have. And then on the day you want an exhibition case back, you just take it off and you have an exhibition case back. It's pretty snazzy. There was some other cool stuff, always a good showing. RZA, I saw the new anti-digi model they have coming out. That was pretty cool. Nice setup there. All in all, the show was great. I do have a couple of things, like some constructive criticism for shows in general. We need to have more seating at shows, like off to the side or in a separate area. Now, I know the spaces are expensive, and I know the venues aren't cheap, and I know all the brands have different budgets, but this is there was a little bit of seating at Windup 24. Intersect Atlanta, there wasn't any, and this show there wasn't any. And I think seating would be cool, because I think I would take breaks, like go off and I did that at Windup. I went off and I had a drink and had a snack, and then I went back at it. And and then you could sit down. When you're sitting down, you can sit there and talk to other fellow watch enthusiasts, catch up with people that you haven't seen for a while in the environment, right? That would be that's a cool part. Like, you're in the environment and you get to hang out, and it just prolongs your experience. Now, I know they might be trying to get people in and out to get sales going on, which I totally understand. Which is some constructive criticism, is go ahead and just get some seating there so everybody can sit around and have a good time, a social event. I heard that Windup San Francisco had some really cool seating area, and then maybe you can get some food and take it over there, or just stuff like that. But other than that, I think it was pretty good. The lighting was pretty interesting. It was kind of rough at first, but then it got overcast, and I don't know about my phone, which was what I was primarily taking pictures with, it does better in overcast. It does better in low light than it does in bright light. So all in all, a great time. I highly recommend, if you're within 2 to 3 hours of district time, of checking it out. I think the show's only going to get bigger and better. You can tell they have a good foothold. You can tell they're organized, and you can tell that they bring that. I've been to other events, not watch events, but it seems like, Intersect had some energy. Windup obviously has energy, but District Time had good energy too. And if you like the nation's capital, you're right there. I mean, you could walk around, do some sightseeing afterwards. I mean, drove by Jefferson Memorial, all that stuff coming in. So if you're local, I highly recommend checking it out. And again, thanks to D from Hobby of Ours YouTube channel. D's a great guy. And then shout out to Johnny Walker for riding shotgun with me all the way up there and all the way back. We actually got up there and got back before the sunset, which was fantastic, because I was able just to relax and have a nice evening at home after doing the watch event. But it was a great time. And thank you to everyone Bill and Lauren, thank you to everybody that headed up District Time. It was amazing. Okay, so the second topic is episode 100. Now, I thought it's been longer than it has been. I guess I recorded my first episode, my first video I ever uploaded on YouTube, was a little like 30 to 60-second video of wrist rolls that I had from Wind Up 2022. So Wind Up 2022 happens later in the year. And so like around October. And so that I was amazed because that's technically not even it's not even 3 years yet, right? So October 25 would be 3 years, so like 2.5 years. I've got those of you who have been around since the beginning, I've gone back and forth with the format, but I'm kind of locked in now. I basically just talk about what I want to talk about with watches, which makes me happier. I still share resources on the website for veteran stuff. But there's so many channels out there that do veterans resources and just do it really well, and can, devote 30, 40 minutes to it, that I'm just going to start finding those and sharing them in the show notes, because a lot of times they do a better job. And honestly, some of the veterans organizations do a really good job on social media and YouTube of highlighting different milestones. But what does this milestone mean to me? Well, the first thing I have to do is say thank you to all of you at home that are watching or listening. I wouldn't even still have this channel if it wasn't for you. All of you, have left comments and have given me constructive criticism, positive feedback, and don't get me wrong, I love constructive criticism. I like the last person who said my closed captioning wasn't syncing up right, so I'm gonna have to check it this time to make sure. Stuff like that just makes it better. To everyone who's ever had me on their show or taken the time to appear on my channel or just be super cool with me within the watch community, your support means the world. I could go chronologically and I'll go the very best I can. I mean, the very first person that ever had me do anything with their YouTube channel was Adrian, who had Somewhere in Time. Adrian's over in England. He knew I still am super into samurais. I'm just waiting to find the Zinbei one at the right price. He asked me, because I had basically a samurai collection for a while, and I had like 5 or 6 samurais. And he asked me to take some pictures and provide some feedback about what I loved about samurais, because he was doing a video on the samurai. And Adrian, that's the first ever thing I ever did. And then shout out Miguel and P. Ross from SoCal Watch Review podcast. Miguel had me on his podcast to talk about some military watches and some Tudor stuff. And then I was interviewed by Eric from Rico's Watches podcast, but Eric has since moved on to family life and retiring the podcast. He still does sketchy watch boy stuff on Instagram. So I'll put his Instagram in the show notes. And then, Sam at Casual Watch Talk, or now it's Casual, I think it's Casual Watch Talk now. It was Casual Watch Reviews. Sam's had me on the panel. That was awesome. To the Todds, Seiko Todd, and, Patrick, who used to be on their Pocket Watch Time, Mark from On Liberty. All those guys are great. And, I could go on and on just from general support, Omar, Timeless Sneakers and Watches, and, Joe Say Coded had been on, Rich, Asha Wagner. You name it. I've had so many great guests on, and they just are what make the life of the podcast. So, and going forward, that is my goal. Once a month, I'm going to have an interview on. I'm going to set them up. I've been working on stuff behind the scenes as far as getting my show notes super streamlined and all that stuff. And you can tell, like, I invested in a new camera and all that stuff. So that's basically, and if I missed anyone that's had me on their stuff, I really apologize. But it's basically been this build up to where I feel super comfortable finally with my gear, what I'm using, and the format and the way I'm going to go forward. I'm super grateful to be surrounded by people in this hobby who really, really care about me, and I could go on and on about, and I will. Huge appreciation to the brands that I've had the privilege to work with. Thank you for providing me just access to incredible timepieces, straps, and gear. It's just your willingness to trust me with that stuff, to get it back to you, to use it, to get it back in one piece, and your willingness to collaborate on stuff is awesome. And for those of you who don't know, if you're a brand watching, I never ask to keep anything. I always send it back. I just like to keep it for like 2 to 4 weeks so I can kind of check it out and actually speak to it from a educated place of some contextual knowledge. Seeing what all the brands are doing is even more rewarding. And I feel like it would be important to all the people at all the brands that have helped me out. You know who you are, and I really appreciate it. And I've been to numerous shows where the brands have just been so kind, so giving of their time, so giving of their energy, and just, willing to sit down and talk to me for 5 minutes. It's awesome. And of course, the biggest thank you goes out to my wife, and, for putting up with this crazy schedule watch thing. She's even into watches now. It's not as bad as me, but she has a great collection. I got to do that this year, but none of this would be possible without her patience and support, and just, support. I can't explain enough. It's just awesome. And you're the best, babe, and I appreciate it. And so looking ahead, the next 100 episodes, well, I really do enjoy the format and the structure now. I really enjoy just talking about whatever watch topic pops off the top of my head. I've tried not to do what the latest like topic, quote unquote, is, or whatever's trending. Usually it's a watch, and usually it's a watch that I don't have access to or I haven't held because it's new. That tends to be the thing on YouTube, right? The newest watch. And if you have a big enough following, which I totally get, if you have a big enough following, you get the watch ahead of time, you record all your stuff before, and then you talk about your watch. Some people have asked for a state of the collection. I've heard, I've listened. I'm currently switching phones, which means I'm going to have to switch my future order for a lapel mic of some kind, because in order to do a state of the collection where I do like a top down or, you know, side shots or whatever, I want to have a lapel mic so I can actually like talk while I'm doing the review, because that to me seems the most logical way. Most people don't realize that I actually use a bulletized script when I do my podcast, because I used to be an instructor a long time ago and that's how we were taught. So as long as I read it a couple of times, I kind of memorize it and I know where I want to go, but I have the script up behind the camera so I can not go off on a tangent, because believe me, I could. Like, believe me, if I didn't have the script, in 15 minutes could be 45 minutes, you'd be shutting off halfway through. But so I want to get that microphone lapel set up so I can start doing the state of the collection stuff, do a state of the collection for my wife, and actually move to video reviews. But I want that to be solid, because I'm also trying to figure out a novel way to do it, because I mean, you have so many people that do reviews that are so good at them. I mean, you know, I've always talked about the 1916 watch company or Watchbox or whatever it was before that, you know, and Tim Massa, like the best freaking reviews on the internet. Like, I don't even know how I would even top that, but that would be the goal, right? To get in between like 3 to 5 minutes and tell you everything you need to go about that watch, where I'm only showing you the watch, because I feel like that review values my time. It values our time, because it's in and out 3 to 6 minutes. So I want to do something similar to that. I mean, obviously not like 3 to 5 minutes, because I basically be ripping them off, but how do I produce a review with enough, you know, just that's succinct enough for you to watch it all the way through and then get out, but you actually learn something without any fluff. So that's what I'm working on. Like I said, episodes are going to starting with episode 100. Between 101 and 104 or 105, we're going to have an interview. I already got that one set up. It's going to be watch enthusiasts and veterans. If I can meld both two together, that's what I'm going to do. That's not always perfect, but if I can, I will. And I'll work on it from there. And because I feel like just watch enthusiasts are the best people to hear from. Let me know if you want to hear about. I did you know, you guys, I know I did the episode on watch groups and stuff like that. But like, if you want to hear like a Red Bar segment, let me know. I'm not the official spokesman for them, but I can kind of tell you what's going on with our chapter and how everything's going. It's pretty cool. I've had a great time with that. And if there's anything else, you know, put a note down in the show notes about anything else you'd like to see. I'm pretty much, for recording the podcast, kind of stuck here at my desk because I have a desk set up, and that's the way I like it. It's just comfortable. It's easy. I don't have to do a bunch of stuff. And, you know, it's, I got everything dialed in. When I tell you I got dialed in, I got it dialed in. But again, thank you to everyone that's tuned in, everyone that's commented, everyone that's supported the podcast, whether known or unknown. Shout out to my two favorite charities, the Anti-Watch Watch Club. AWWC is a 501c3 charitable organization. You know about it. They utilize a drop style culture to support all kinds of military, veteran, first responder charities, and just check them out. They're great stuff. T-shirts, stickers, you know, the whole nine. They're there and they're awesome. And also to the Veterans Watchmakers Initiative. One of our Red Bar members actually took the dexterity test. If you've watched a long time, you know that I love that school. I talk about it. There's a link to in my bio on Instagram to the school and the tour I did. One of our Red Bar members actually took the dexterity test. He's a veteran and he passed the dexterity test, and he's waiting to get in the technician. And this is a guy who is retired from another position, but is still seeking to find some meaningful stuff to do professionally for himself after his retirement. And, you know, hats off, brother. You know who you are. I don't like to put too much business out in the street, but it's a real school. So check out the VWI, Veterans Watchmakers Initiative. If you know any veterans, disabled veterans, have them check out that school. It could change their life. If they're serious about their future and they want to put in the time and the work to learn a real trade, the watchmaker's trade, I can't recommend that school enough. I have a whole series of interviews I did with watchmakers and the school director, Mr. Sam Kanan. You can check that out. I'll put those links in the show notes. Just Veterans Watchmakers Initiative has the opportunity to change people's lives. Please, please check them out. And again, thank you to every single one of you. I appreciate it. If you've enjoyed this ride, stick around so far, because the best is yet to come. The best is yet to come. I'm going to leave that in. And until next time, remember, at watchrolling.com, You make the watch. The watch doesn't make you.